Welcome, Sharks fans, to another edition of Pucknology After Dark. That didn't go so well, but we're here. We want to hear what you guys have to say, and hopefully we can make sense of all this. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final, the Sharks lose 3-2. With minutes left, the Penguins' Nick Menino come back and score to take the lead and take the series 1-0. If you want to be part of the conversation, please use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. You can contact us in the Google chat, on Twitter, at Eric Landy, at iReadPucknology, at ChrisJWS, and we will be joined by Puck Guy 14 and perhaps AJ Strong a little bit later. But right now we're going to hold down the fort and talk a little Game 1 reaction. So, gentlemen, your initial thoughts on the game. I guess we'll start with Chris.
Initial thoughts, they looked a little bit shocked by Pittsburgh's speed early. They found their feet in the second. In the third, I think Pittsburgh got the better end of the play. Overall, I think it's a learning experience for the Sharks. Reminds me a lot of the first game against St. Louis, right? I think they did some good things, they did some bad things, and hopefully in game 2 they can bounce back and make adjustments based on what they've actually seen on the ice now.
Ian, what was your initial thoughts on the game? Oh, you're muted, Ian.
Derp, derp. Look, I didn't like the first period, obviously. I thought it was, incredibly lopsided. The Sharks were just basically mauled. And I didn't know a Penguin could maul a Shark, but apparently they can. As the game went on, though, I started feeling better about it. Like, yeah, we didn't get the outcome we wanted tonight, but the Sharks can hang with the Penguins, and the Penguins can hang with the Sharks. I'm not worried. Like, they're not going to be, hopefully there's not going to be more periods like the first period. If the Sharks, now that they've kind of had their little feeling out game, I think that the Sharks are going to be fine.
Oh boy. I mean, for me at least, I felt like the Sharks came out a little flat-footed, maybe a little shell-shocked, a little starstruck, whatever cliche you want to throw up. But the Sharks, just didn't start out so great. They weathered the storm. I mean, Jones saved their bacon quite a bit in that first period. Second period was a really dominant period by the Sharks. Came back and tied it up, and it was a good period, good period about how you're supposed to beat this Penguins team. And then just one mistake in the third period, costs the team the lead tonight and cost the game. I don't know about you guys, but let's just take a minute and talk about the officiating. I I was one to say to Puck Guy that, hey, you know what, maybe these officials aren't so Pittsburgh tinted or Pittsburgh bias. But guys, they were hooking and grabbing Sharks players all over the place. I mean, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 times the Sharks players got tripped up, and there wasn't any kind of call. There wasn't any kind of explanation. The refs just kind of looked incredulous and said, "Hey, it's the game." So, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like Pittsburgh was getting away with a lot tonight.
I think they're getting away with a lot. I think the Sharks weren't really pushing the line, weren't really pushing the limit that much either, though. Although there were a couple calls against Sharks that were little. That call against Marlowe, I hated that call because, sorry, you had your head down, dude. That was a terrible call. The call in the net behind the net on Joe Pavelski, again, that was a little ticky tack. That stepping on his stick. But I don't know. I'm okay with them letting him play. If that's the case, though, I just need to see them being consistent there and letting both sides get away with it. And I think Pittsburgh was taking more liberties than the Sharks is part of what it was. And I don't know if we can see what the result would have been for the Sharks because they really weren't trying to take a lot of liberties.
Yeah, agreed. Ian, what were your thoughts on the officiating tonight?
I mean, look, it wasn't great. Obviously, some of the calls were just, kind of ticky-tacky, and the calls didn't go both ways. The Marlowe hit is like a damned if you do and damned if you don't play. You're damned if you do because obviously in today's NHL, that's hitting the head. Whether his head is between his knees or, up on a swivel, it's still gonna be hitting the head in today's game. The stick, the standing on the stick, yeah, I don't like that call, but that's a call that gets made all the time. You step on someone's stick and you fall over, and that person's going for tripping. But some of the other calls I just didn't like. It wasn't that I didn't like them. I just didn't like that they didn't seem to go both ways. There was no, a lot of the things that the Sharks got called for, I thought the Penguins got away with, aside from those two penalties, which I'm totally fine with. Um, you know, that Rusk thing is awful, and obviously, of course, he's out of the game now, and then they're gonna milk that. They're gonna wait till the Department of Player Safety makes a call before they decide whether he can play or not again, and it is what it is.
Well, I mean, first off, it wasn't of the 5 minute variety, right? I mean, it
Right.
wasn't a game and an ejection. So, I think from that standpoint, there's not going to be that much of a repercussion. I mean, it was called correctly on the ice. Marlowe doesn't lead with his shoulder. If anything, he kind of shrugs down to kind of lessen the blow. The puck had just been released. It wasn't like the puck had been released a few minutes afterwards or anything, or sorry, not a few minutes, but a few seconds afterward. It was pretty much puck released and then a hit occurred, so it wasn't, to me, it wasn't like a vagrant kind of hit. So for me, at least, I don't see this warning a suspension.
Oh, I don't think so either. If this was Chris Tierney, then yeah, he's gone for it. This is Patrick Marleau. Patrick Marleau has no history of anything like this at all. If this is Chris Tierney, a young pup, or Carlson, Donskoy, whoever, then it's probably a game. Like, I think that's the one thing that I tweeted out right after that. If that wasn't Marleau, that's probably a game misconduct. But this is going to be nothing because it's Marleau.
Right. Right. Well, I guess, okay, moving on. I guess let's talk about a little bit about goaltending tonight. Martin Jones, I mean, really was dominant in that first period. Really helped out the Sharks. I mean, he did let 2 goals in, but after those 2 goals, he was pretty darn good and kept the Sharks in it. Chris, what do you think about the goaltending so far and going forward?
Martin Jones was on point, and I think without him, yeah, this probably would have been a lopsided Penguins win if he wasn't on point. And I think the team in front of him's got to play better, starting with the defense. Not feeding the Penguins transition and taking those 3-on-2 rushes. They need to help him out more. But Martin Jones, it's good to see he's ready to go. Just the team in front of him needs to be a little better.
Yeah. Ian, I mean, any thoughts on the goaltender so far? What do you think? I mean, style wise, do you think the Sharks' attack is a good fit against Murray? I mean, do you think Martin Jones can shut the door a little bit more than he did already? I mean, what's your thoughts so far?
You can't. I mean, nothing that happened this game you can pin on. You can pin on Jones. Like, Jones was the guy that played the 60-minute game tonight when the Sharks were, just basically lost in the first period. Jones was the guy that, like Chris said, this could have been 4-0 at the end of the first, and a blowout game, and maybe we see a lot more panic, at the end of this one. But Jones has been fine, and the one thing that I've noticed about Matt Murray, I like that, like that wraparound goal by Marleau is fantastic. The thing with Matt Murray, though, is that I feel like he just has a hard time closing it out. He watched it like in Tampa a lot, where the Penguins would be up, and then they'd be up by like 4 goals, and then Matt Murray kind of just would let goal after goal in after they were already up. So I think that's something that the Sharks can exploit if they can get that, where he kind of gets the leaky faucet going. Then I think that it's it's going to be fine. Like, you can capitalize on that.
Yeah, no, I think just to add on to that, I thought that Murray looked suspect in his lateral movement. I thought that Marleau coming in on that wraparound goal kind of showed you can expose him laterally. And I mean, most goaltenders in the NHL today, that's how you're supposed to score on them, is scoring on them laterally. So, I think that there is a method to getting to Murray, and I think that you've got to utilize the down low play. I think you've got to get those cross ice passes by Jumbo, and just get shots on goal. Yeah, I thought tonight the guys, it looked like they double clutched a little bit. It looks like they were shooting into people's feet a little bit more than what we saw in the St. Louis series. Shot selection in my mind tonight wasn't the greatest. What were your guys' thoughts on the shot selection?
I think they were playing a lot of high-low, and with how fast Pittsburgh was getting down in front of shots, that really wasn't working well for them. Because I mean, you notice or in the first especially, I think they had like 7 shot blocks, and pretty much all of them were from the point. Like, I think they need to work on getting the pucks through to either through whether it's wide of the net or on net or whatever. But yeah, they were having a problem. They're getting a lot of Penguins defenders getting right in the shot shooting lane, down on the ice, blocking shots, and transition going back the other way.
Yeah, no, I'm totally in agreement with that. I think that really kind of sums up their shot selection tonight. And let me just pull up the stats real quick. But the Penguins had a total of, let's see, I need the box score. Had a total of 21 block shots tonight, and I don't think that was a product of them being overtly defensive. I believe it was more the Sharks taking a really bad selection in their shots tonight. Um, Ryan McCann asking, how do you get around the Pen shot blocking? Well, I think like any team, you've got to make sure that the Penguins defenders is committed to the shot block, and once he commits himself to a shot block, you either A, go around him before you make your shot, or you try and elevate. I mean, those are the two recipes to getting around shot block. I mean, Ian, do you have anything to add on how to get around the shot blocking?
It's better shot selection. It's Sharks need to take some quicker shots. I thought that the Sharks got stuck a lot
Yep.
where they tried to, especially in the first period, where they really, they took the zone and then they tried to look around to see what was going on, and and in that moment that they took to try and look around, the puck was going the other way. I think the Sharks need to, they just need to get in the zone and they need to take quicker shots. If you let Pittsburgh basically get all 5 players in front of the net, because you're passing it around too much or you're delaying too much, then you're not going to get those quality shots. So I think that's a big factor.
They needed to be more decisive, I think is what it
Yeah.
was. Like, either commit, like the second you get that puck, you're doing the one time or you're getting it in quickly. Because once the Pittsburgh guy lines up and is ready to block it, that or accept that you need to shoot it wide off the boards and like that and try and get a funny bounce in front, or create a little chaos. But trying to shoot straight on net with a Pittsburgh guy in front of you, need to do better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it brings us to my next point. I mean, I don't know what you guys thought of the top line tonight and just the star players versus the star players, but Sidney Crosby definitely showed up tonight. I mean, he was very noticeable on the ice, making an assist and really getting the puck where it needed to go, and get those shots on goal and getting into the dangerous areas of the ice. I thought Jumbo played a decent game. I don't think that that's the best that Jumbo has ever played. But Pavelski, I think, is the one that I felt had an off night tonight. And somebody was saying in the chat that, after the tripping call, Pavelski kind of disappeared a little bit. He really showed a lot of frustration, and it looked like the calls that were going against the Sharks were really upsetting him, and I think it was upsetting a lot of the Sharks players. But he kind of just disappeared after that and really didn't have an answer afterwards. I think Couture's line definitely showed up tonight. I think they were probably the best line on the Sharks tonight. And I'd say Paul Martin out of the D-Corps looked the best.
Line by line, I think the top two lines both had an okay night. They got to be better, I think. But yeah, Thornton looked like he had some of those Thornton passes, right, where it's like he had a lot of them go the wrong way, and that's kind of what you accept with Thornton, right? It's like he's going to make some passes that are really just not going to work out, but that's part of the deal, because he'll make some passes that are humanly impossible. I thought the second line held their own just fine. I mean, really, I think the Chris Tierney line struggled a lot. That was the one that stood out to me. I mean, I think top to bottom, all the forwards need to play better. I think they need to simplify their game a little bit more, because it seemed like there was a little too much trying to go for like those split the D kind of passes, chipping it up. Like, get your pucks deep. Stop feeding their transition,
Yep.
and don't make it easy for them. Make them skate 200 feet, and that's why I think they did better at that in the second. In the first, they were just turning it over high repeatedly. And I think to me that's the big thing I saw all night. And all the lines I think were guilty of it at times. Were just not being really disciplined in your puck. In this every loss, right, it's usually been the common theme, right? Puck management, being responsible with the puck, not feeding the other team, not making their lives any easier. So I think that to me is what the game came down to, really.
No, definitely agree, and I'd say I think I singled out Thornton and Pavs because I thought Hurdle played a good game on the power play tonight. I mean, it looked like he was moving his feet a lot. He had some good back checks. I didn't think he was the problem on that line tonight. I thought that it was Pavs and to a lesser extent Jumbo.
Jumbo was getting like triple teamed at some points though. Like it's and it's the pity that the Sharks couldn't capitalize on that. But I mean, there was a couple times there where Thornton had the puck and there was literally 3 Penguins just mauling them.
Yeah. I think that Dylan Pollock pairing is going to be the Achilles heel of this team. And you know what? I mean, stranger things have happened, but it might. I don't know if you reconfigure the D and bring in a Dylan DeMello and get a little bit of extra speed on that blue line, but I think that they're going to expose the slow, lumbering pair of Dylan Pollock. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I don't think it's the defense you switch because I feel like, I still feel like when you look at Schultz and Cole, the bottom pairs are a wash. They're both terrible. To me, I think the adjustments you have to make are up front. You need to probably consider putting Marlowe back on the third line again to extend that depth a little bit. I think if Matt Nieto can go, you need his speed in the lineup, and you need to take someone out for him. I would probably look at Wingles, to be completely honest.
You know what? Would you go Wingles or would you go Zubris?
No, I want Zubris in for the experience. Zubris was really good in that Kings Devils series. I thought he was really, really good in that series. So I would give him more of a chance. I didn't think Zubris did anything that was overly terrible tonight that would warrant being taken out of the lineup. I thought Wingles, he threw some hits, but he also turned over the puck a lot.
Yeah,
and I think that's the big key is, especially when Dylan and Pollock on the ice, they just need to make sure they're more meat and potatoes. Don't make fancy plays. Get the puck in deep. Forecheck. Don't put those two in a position where they're having to defend a 3-on-2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think you've got to put them in the best position, so you got to worry about now the matchup game, and you're not going to get that advantage till you get back to San Jose, so you just have to shelter them as much as you can. And then you've also, I think, like Ian was saying, you've got to go back to that four-headed Hydra, where you've got Logan, and you've got Jumbo, and you've got Patty, and then you've got Tierney as your fourth-line center, because I like the Malkin on Patty matchup, because I think Patty's speed negates Malkin's speed and Malkin's craftiness, and I like Tierney over Colin. I think that's not a bad idea to go back to reconfiguring the lines. And personally, I would look at either Zubris or Spalling for Matt Nieto, in my opinion. I think
not Spalling, because he's too valuable in the penalty kill.
Yeah, I agree.
I would say probably Wingles if it's up to me. Because, Spalling, he's, to me, as far as I'm concerned, he can't be pulled out of the lineup anytime soon because their penalty kill is already suspect as it is.
Slushy Jake chiming in, Pollock is a fine dude, like, shut up with that nonsense. I think if I remember correctly, Slushy was complaining a little bit earlier in the playoffs about how Pollock wasn't able to move the pucks out very well. So
in terms of like deployment for the defensive pairs, so unsurprisingly, Pollock and Dylan were by far the most sheltered tonight. Pollock started 85% of his non-neutral shifts in the offensive zone. Dylan 77%. Braun, I mean, part of the reason why he had such a rough game is that he did not start a single shift in the offensive zone. Everything was either neutral or defensive. Vlasic, he only started 15% of his shifts in the offensive zone. So they deployed it very, very heavily. And Paul Martin also 30% in the offensive zone. So they deployed very heavily to protect Pollock and Dillon. So, I mean, the deployments show what we already can tell is those guys are a big liability.
We're joined by AJ Strong. AJ, what's your initial reactions? I guess first about the tank viewing party and what the atmosphere was like there.
The atmosphere was fantastic. Fans were there very early, very excited. Everybody turned out in teal. We're all totally wound up to watch this game. And then the first period occurred, and you saw missed interference calls on the Penguins left and right. It felt like, and then the first goal by the Penguins. If the officials actually have the balls or the eyesight, whatever it took, that there was actually what should have been an interference call before that goal went in, then maybe the Penguins don't finish the second or the first period up 2-0, and then you get to the second goal where Braun got absolutely pyloned and then blew a tire. I don't know why when he was getting pyloned he didn't hip check the guy. And the better part is that if you look at the second period, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Pavelski with about 12 minutes left in the second period. Pavelski, basically the same thing, very close to the boards. He was getting pyloned. The guy was going to speed by him, and Pavelski completely hip checked him straight into the boards. He coughed up the puck. It was a fantastic hit. I don't know why Braun did not make that same hit, but that's what led to the second goal. Third goal, yeah, it'd be nice, if maybe Jones hugs the pipe a little bit more. Those are going to happen. I'm still absolutely just spitting nails over the amount of interference that went uncalled. I hate talking about officiating after a game, and to see when you've got Jamie Baker and you've got I think it might have been I can't remember the other guy, but like a national guy tweeting about the incredible amount of interference that was being let go. The Sharks should have had easily 3 more power plays tonight, and it's not even fucking debatable. I mean,
Yeah.
it totally isn't. The fact that they were able to get away with that much interference just pisses me off, and it makes me not have a whole lot of hope for the remaining games. And when you come down to it, we're talking on an average night of hockey during the regular season. How many games are played? 8, 9, so somewhere in there. And you're going to tell me this is the best of the best when it comes to all the officials that they have to choose from? This is the best of the best, and they let that much stuff go, and then they make that bullshit call on Pavs? Dude, I'm completely pissed off about this game, and you should have heard the 10,000 people at the Tank tonight when there's not even a game being played.
Yeah.
We're just all watching it, and the people are chanting, "Ref, you suck."
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we digress into the full, explosion on the refs, I think the one thing that I'd like to cover is the last goal by Bonino. Now, I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but did you guys think if Burns was slashed and that's why his stick was in front of Martin Jones? Or was it just a case that he just lost grip of his stick?
I couldn't really tell from the replay, honestly, and I think they only showed that part of you could only see that in the replay once or twice maybe. So I mean, they seem to not show a lot of the controversial replays. What are you guys, the Sharks?
Agreed. Yeah, I felt
that's something that was really ticking off the fans at the Tank, was the fact that there was 0 replays shown.
Yeah.
Oh, there were plenty of replays shown of every Crosby thing though. They were loving them some Crosby tonight.
Somebody's asking if Eric, can you challenge it? No, you can't challenge that, unfortunately. I think the 2 things that you can challenge on a goal is goaltender interference and offsides. Those are the 2 plays that you can challenge. And I don't think that the NHL will ever go down the rabbit hole of trying to challenge for a penalty because it's so subjective and it's so hard to really get that right.
I think certain calls should be reviewable because there's some that are a little more cut and dry. Did someone slash someone? Did someone trip someone? Although if a call's not made, you can't.
I mean, offside should be cut and dry too.
Should. Well, I mean, it really is though. Like usually, if they have to review it
to the game,
if they have to review it though, they're usually pretty good on offsides. Like it's
too long.
yeah. I don't really mind that much, but you're in a time zone much later than the rest of us, so a Sharks game runs till 11, you're not particularly happy.
It's not even that. It's just I feel like it just hurts the flow of the game so bad when you have to do like a 10-minute review and then obviously time for TV timeout. I mean, you just spent 15 minutes just not
they
even
really
intermission.
they should go to commercial when they do that. That's really what they should do.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and it's a double-edged sword about whether or not you're gonna review every scoring play and see if there's a penalty on there. Because I mean, I feel like if you're really going through with a fine-tooth comb, you could find some kind of penalty on most goals. I think there's not a lot of those snipe shot goals anymore. A lot of them come in the blue paint. A lot of them come 5 feet out. So there's going to be some kind of pick, or there's going to be some kind of pushing, or some kind of clutching, or some kind of grabbing. So, I think that that's probably why the rabbit hole, you're not going down this rabbit hole. I understand where the frustration comes from because, I felt, especially on one of the back checks that Pavelski was coming back on, he was clearly tripped and taken out of the play. And nothing was called. He looked back at the official, and the official just kind of gave him a shrug, like, okay, well, whatever. So
now let me digress. As much as I pissed and bitched and moaned about the officials, the Sharks could have very, very easily still won this game. They didn't look great in the first 6-7 minutes, but then they started to come on a little bit in the first period. I thought they absolutely owned the second period for the most part, and they also did a phenomenal job in the face-off circle. They were fantastic in the face-off circle, which is something we had talked about previously, how they had gotten known. So, and I think even Brody Brazil tweeted out at one point the shots were like 15-4 Penguins, and then all of a sudden it was like 16-15 Sharks or something. I mean, it was the Sharks, after they figured it out, they came to play. So I'm hoping that on Wednesday night we're going to see something that's a little more fair and balanced. But I think the Sharks have a very, very good chance of winning Game 2. I just like I said, the only thing, I'm a little still. I'm caught up in the emotion, and I'm caught up in the moment of being there with 10,000 other fans at the tank, just all really energized and just seeing the way that came down. We were all very ticked off. We would have liked to, I think, seen at least 2 more power plays. I think would have been, should have been obvious. But anyway, that's the way it played. I still think the Sharks can take this series no problem, and I think they win Game 2.
Mike Leake on the chat, real quick. Sharks gave up 18 shots in the third period. That can't happen. I totally agree. I think that especially that last goal where Bonino is just all by himself. I mean, literally, it's him and Martin Jones, and you've got a sprawling Paul Martin there trying to do whatever he can to prevent this shot from going off. It was just piss poor defensive coverage by Paul Martin. You can't really say anything much more than that. In my opinion, I did not like Jones's placement and positioning on that goal. I felt that he could have been a little bit more aggressive to his, I guess that would have been his stick side. But if you do play overly aggressive, you leave the glove side wide open. But his glove was working well tonight, and I thought that he could probably make up a little bit for that. So,
and he was also changing side to side. It's not like he was a static play from him either.
Right. So, quickly, I guess let's quickly wrap up our kind of final thoughts on this, and then we'll move on to another aspect. And
probably worth mentioning, Braun, I think most are aware his father-in-law passed away, I think that probably affected his game as well. Because I mean, you could see early on, especially, he was having a pretty rough go. AJ mentioned, how he got pylon, but he looked to me like a guy who was maybe his head wasn't totally in. I think I don't. That's not. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because you know what, I understand. Like that's a really tough spot to be in. So that's worth mentioning.
Yeah, our condolences to the LeBron family. Even if they don't watch, I think it's just nice to think about the players and think about the humanity behind them.
And I don't know if you just saw it, but Micah Blake McCurdy. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. At Ineffective Math tweeting out, tempo, most matchups really tight, but the Sharks' third line was well beaten. And he's got a chart explaining that outlook.
Yeah, that third line against Malkin just wasn't cutting it tonight.
The numbers reflect it, yeah.
And
it says Justin Schultz and Ian Cole were both about +8, Corsi 4 against the Tierney line. So that's oof.
Yeah, the Tierney line had a pretty brutal night. They were at the far. I mean, Tierney was -16, -10 at even. So pretty rough night for those guys.
K-Dog PA, thank you for joining us. We appreciate the opposing fans coming in and really just kind of hanging with us. That's really cool and always nice to see. So shout out to you. Quickly, I think another thing that I wanted to quickly touch on, somebody brought up, Mike Sullivan on rust. He's day-to-day with an upper body injury. It's a blindside hit to the head. I'm sure the league will look at it. I don't see it like that. I see it as a guy skating with his head down, but tell me if I'm wrong, guys.
I agree with you. That's what I said at the time. I was like, I'm sorry. That's the same as who was it that Rafi Torres hit a couple of years ago when the guy had his head down. And I understand why they penalized Torres for that because he has a rep, but who was that?
It was somebody from the Kings, wasn't it?
Stoll?
Yeah, Stoll. That's right. Yeah, it was Stoll.
And just a quick one on the Twitter machine, and I know people are kicking my ass on the chat right now, and that's fine. I'm like I said, right now, I'm in the moment. The emotions are high. Talk to me tomorrow when I have a clearer head because I'm still a little ticked off. But Jake Sundstrom saying the Sharks did not lose this game because the officials are biased. And if that's what you got from what I had said earlier, then I apologize. That was not my intent. I don't think the officials are biased. I think they just missed a lot of stuff. I don't think they were biased one way or the other.
I think they just did a poor job.
Yeah,
exactly. I think they just did a really, really poor job, and unfortunately, they missed a ton of calls, and I think they just missed a few more calls on the Sharks side than they did on the Penguins side. Like I said, I'm not saying they're biased. I just think they did a ridiculously poor job overall. And once again, I go back to the fact that these should be the 4 best rated officials from the entire season. Like I go back to what I mentioned earlier. On an average night during the regular season, you've got 7, 8, 9, 10 games being played. Hell, maybe even 13. You've got linesmen and officials at all of those. You're going to tell me that these are the best 4 and this is the job they did? I'm sorry. I find it to be unacceptable. I'm not saying that they were biased towards the Pens. I'm just saying, just like Chris said, it was just a poor job all around.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good topper on that.
I mean, if you want to talk AJ, about what costed the Sharks, it was the first period.
Yeah, exactly. It was the first period.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the watch party, AJ. You were there. How was it? How many fans were there? What was the atmosphere like?
Oh, they were. Oh my God! So I got down to San Pedro just about 3:00. There were people in teal all over the place. A couple Warriors people. You had a couple people doing the double tap where they were like rocking the Shark shirt with the Warriors cap. But a lot of people very excited. And then when I made my way down towards the tank, full line, everybody excited to get in. Everybody wanted to get their playoff towel, nice. And so the towels were flying. Another nice thing that they had going on is at the entrance at the parking lot side at 115. They had, the photo camera thing where you can take a picture with a backdrop and everything, which is very cool. And then for those of you who have been there, if you know about it, if you go and I think Chris has done it, but when you've done like the wine thing or the beer promotion or whatever, they send you up to a particular bar to, turn in your drink tickets and everything like that. That same upper level bar tonight, they had a backdrop where you could also take your photo with the Campbell Cup again. So it's like, of course, I'm going to do it again. So they gave you the opportunity. They got the little backdrop there, and they got the cup sitting there. So it was nice that they had that for the fans to take those photos and everything. And then once it started, dude, it was pretty on fire. And what was really cool, tons of fans were wearing their LED bracelets. So whenever people are clapping, you just see blinks of teal light all over the arena. That was very cool. And of course, Sharky just everywhere tonight trying to get the crowd going, and they were screaming. It was fantastic. It really bums me out that the NHL only allows teams to do the one viewing event per round. I think that's too bad. Yeah, that's
really?
Too bad.
Why?
Yeah, that's why Tampa. Well, it has to do with ratings and everything and eyeballs. But yeah, that came out. I guess you guys didn't see it. That came out a couple days ago when Tampa did a viewing party for, I guess it was Game 5 in Tampa. Well, it was
Game 7, and they killed it.
Yeah, they wanted to do a second one for Game 7, and the NHL. Well, actually, it wasn't the NHL from what I understand. It was NBC that put the kibosh on it because they want the ratings, they want the numbers, and they say that they can't get those numbers if you're holding these viewing parties that are drawing 10,000 people. And I totally get what you're doing, Ian, and I get it, and I completely agree with you. They've even said that they will fine a team if they put on such an event. And you know what? If my team, if the Sharks. Obviously, if they have the opportunity to win this in Game 6, which obviously would be here in San Jose, then absolutely no viewing party because you want people to be at the tank. But if this goes that the Sharks get a 3-1 lead and they have the opportunity to win it in Pittsburgh on Game 5 or in Game 7, if I'm Hasso Plattner, I'm eating that fine. I'm saying I don't care. We've been waiting for the fans are losing their marbles over this.
You want to make the fans happy?
You want to make the fans happy. You put 2 jumbo screens, blow up projection screens in the parking lot on the backside of the tank, and you just say, hey, no cars. It's just all people, and you eat the fine. Absolutely. But unfortunately, that's the NBC's rule. We don't agree with it, but business is business.
Can I
subject to ratings? Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say if I'm Hasso Plattner, not only am I gonna pay that fine, but I'm gonna show the CBC feed just to spite them.
well, anything is better than Mike Emmerich.
Oh God! Did any of you guys see that horrible Chevy commercial with the emojis that they played every freaking break, at least on my feed? Just me.
See see, that's the nice thing about the viewing party is that once they go to a commercial, they just show, they got the guys around with the cameras showing the crowd, and they're doing a bunch of in-game stuff. So luckily, we weren't subjected to that.
It was
stuff.
pretty awful. It was making me miss the CBC feed, which has its share of dumb Canadian commercials. But I'll take that over. Describe what you think in an emoji. Oh gosh.
Why the hell are we having a Labatt Blue commercial in San Diego, California? What the hell is that?
You guys in San Diego don't know what good beer is. It's like you're like the Northwest or something.
Oh yeah.
Hi, Gen X.
Shots fired.
I like that. No, I like that. I like that reference. You're like a Labatt commercial in San Diego. That would be like being in the northern, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and seeing a Modelo or a Corona commercial.
Right.
Oh, Corona. People drink Corona all the time up here.
Ugh. Ugh.
I'm just saying they do.
I'd rather drink Northwest beer than Corona.
All right.
Anyway, I know Landy has something he wants to get onto here.
Yeah, let's talk about some league news. Gary Bettman coming out saying that the expansion process is likely finalized in June. I believe that's when the official vote from the Board of Governors takes place, and we see whether or not we get 2 teams, 1 team, or no teams. Quickly, you guys' thoughts on this? I know AJ, retraction is what he wants to see and not expansion, but we can go over it a little bit more.
Let that happen.
AJ, let's start us off then.
Yeah, you guys know my feelings on this. When Florida, and I mean, there's several teams, but obviously Florida is the big one that comes to mind. You see that they're drawing maybe 12,000 on a good day, and you're going to talk to me about expansion. I'm sorry, I just don't get it. Relocation? Sure, absolutely. Maybe you want to move a team, but maybe you want to move Florida to Quebec. I would be the first one on board waving a flag to bring back the whale. I miss the whale. I love the whale. But, yeah, relocation, absolutely. But, no, contraction over expansion just because we just have too many teams that are having too hard of a time selling out their barn. I'm sorry, that's just the way I feel. I want to grow the game just like everybody else, but, you know, you got to unless we're going to start putting together 10,000-seat arenas,
I want to go to Ian next on this one because he's boots on the ground in Canada, and of course the Canadian dollar's been hit really hard. What's your thoughts on expansion and whether or not Quebec will get into this round?
See, here's the thing about expansion, right? Like, with the Canadian dollar being what it is, I don't know if you put a team in Quebec right now. Quebec it's not like, see, Las Vegas, at least, like, you know, you have Vegas proper, and then you have a nice surrounding area. Quebec is Quebec City, and that's it. Like, there's nothing around Quebec City for, you know, a significant distance. So that makes things interesting too. The thing to me though is, as much as I think Quebec City would like to have their team back and blah blah blah, if you're going to do expansion, I mean, the goal of expansion should always be not only to expand the league, but to expand to new markets and get new fans. If you put another team in Canada, you don't create one new fan. You don't. It's just, you know, just existing fans are going to jump on. You're not creating a new fan in Canada.
The
by putting
marketing
another
term
NHL
is
team there.
cannibalizing your own market share.
Basically. Whereas if you put a team in Las Vegas, then you're probably going to you might make some new fans of hockey. And the thing with expansion is it doesn't happen overnight. Like, obviously, yeah, a team in Vegas is probably going to struggle at first, and you got to get through that. And look, I can go on forever about this, but I'm going to try and keep it really, really short. You need to get that generation of kids that went to the game as children, that they want to buy that ticket when they become an adult and it's their money. The Sharks have done that really well because the Sharks have generally been a competitive team. Teams like Florida and Tampa that have been just also rans, obviously they've had more trouble. I mean, Tampa, yes, they've been competitive lately, but, you know, they have competitiveness, and then they've had just huge, just, you know, it's been pits and valleys with them. Like, they have these huge peaks and then these awful, you know, bottomless pits that have been in Tampa. So
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Right now, the East has 16 teams and the West has 14. Is that correct?
Yep.
So if you're going to expand, then wouldn't it stand to reason that you would put 2 teams in the West?
But
Hold on.
Perfect world, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a perfect world. So say you put one of them that Las Vegas seems to be the no-brainer. Where would you put the other one? See, now a lot of people point at Seattle. I still think Seattle is too close to Vancouver. I don't know that would work. I mean, not that close, but still enough. But I've also heard a few people, and I'm not really sure why, but a few people pointing that Kansas City.
Okay. Kansas City, I mean, the Midwest.
If it's a smaller arena.
they have an arena ready to go.
15,000. But, 15,000.
I mean, do you really want to cannibalize St. Louis's market share on Missouri? I mean, they've gotten kicked in the balls so many times, and now you're going to do it again and put its team in Kansas City?
No,
yes.
You know what? Screw St. Louis. You lost your football team, and now we're giving a hockey team in your backyard.
If I could weigh in here, honestly, I think if I were to do an expansion team, I think Vegas is going to happen. I think it's going to be a flop, in my opinion. If I were to do a second one in the West, actually, I'd put it in Minnesota. They are so hockey crazy. They love the Wild. They sell out that barn constantly. They could support 2 hockey teams in that market. I mean, they do. If you didn't know, college hockey is a hotter ticket there than NHL hockey. And NHL hockey is a pretty hot ticket there. Like,
Well,
I remember I go there a lot, so I've tried to get tickets to games. It's always expensive. But college hockey is nuts.
Tell me that if there was a St. Pauli girl jersey that you wouldn't buy it. The St. Pauli girls. I would buy that. You put that in Minnesota, I'm down with that. And you know what, my buddy Mike Lee from Let'sGoSharks.com, move the whiny Red Wings back into the West. I'm so down with
that.
That.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be.
I miss Detroit versus Colorado. I miss Detroit versus San Jose. Those are some great games. And you know what, Mike? I totally agree with you. I would love that.
Yeah, exactly. And just to hear them to complain about how they have to come back to the West, and oh my God, we have to play one time zone out.
They're not.
No, we have to watch games at 10:30
It's never
at
happening.
night.
It's never gonna happen.
Never
They have too much pull in the league.
Yeah, the Illiches have way too much pull.
They were good. They were
God,
good
I miss
soldiers
the
for
Wings
a
in the West.
long time.
See, no, the whiners that I can't stand, the Wings I totally get why they're griping, but the whiners I can't stand is the Stars people griping that, oh, our travel schedule is so rough. Like, you're in the middle of the country. You are in the biggest single hub in the entire country at DFW.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want to hear a word.
Everybody flies direct through DFW. Kiss my cocos.
Yeah,
But anyway,
exactly.
To answer a couple questions that AJ had before that we never really answered. I mean, why not another team in the West? Because another city in the West didn't put up the money. I mean, it's really that simple, right?
And
I'm just talking, hypothetical in a perfect world. That's
sure, in a perfect world, they go to Seattle because that's the TV market they want. I think that this whole expansion thing was open for one reason, to get Seattle and Vegas a team, and Seattle just couldn't get their crap together. Quebec put in a bid, which, is nice. Honestly, I don't see Quebec getting a team. If anything, it's going to be a 16-15 split of the conferences.
Here's another wild card to throw out there in the Midwest. Oklahoma City.
Oh.
They go crazy for basketball. Why? I don't see why they couldn't go crazy for hockey too.
Just be Atlanta 2.0.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
Yeah, I do. But I mean, I don't know anything.
You know what?
Okay. Atlanta sports fans are not the same as Midwest sports fans. Let's just put it that way. Okay, let's not even compare the two. Because Atlanta sports fans are as fair weather as it gets.
Dude, can we just give the respect that Rocket just earned on the chat, quoting Ian saying Seattle couldn't get their crap together as Ian is wearing a Nirvana shirt. That's just absolutely fantastic. That's just, you know what? That's just taking advantage of the situation. That's just awesome. Well done, Rocket.
I mean, I think
that was really good.
You know what? The other place that was kind of put up there is Portland, and I mean, I know Portland's a little small, but I think.
Well, how do the Winterhawks do? Don't the Winterhawks draw pretty well?
Yeah,
they draw pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get pretty crazy for their basketball there. They get crazy for their soccer too. I don't see what. Yeah, that's another good one actually.
But you know what though? I never hear anything with regards to the Trailblazers. Like nothing in the way of
their fans are pretty into it.
I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm saying that it's kind of like San Jose, that the Sharks, that when you watch the national media, you just don't hear a lot of Trailblazers talk. That's all.
Well, it's also, but basketball is the most top-heavy sport of all of them. I mean, really, they only talk about the most relevant teams. They don't talk about the league at large.
Right.
Even more than hockey, there's about 20 teams that get the buzz, right, on a regular basis. In basketball, it's like the top 5 to 10 teams, and that's it. They don't care about anyone else.
There's so much.
And do you
see
the comment? The comment in the Google chat from Lady Dragonborn: we have a 100-year history of hockey in Portland, and we don't want NHL here.
Wow.
That's awesome.
All right.
They're like, we love our minor leaguers. And you know what? I totally respect that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good. I just figure they're hipsters. I guess, yeah, they want minor league hockey. NHL is a little too mainstream for all those hipsters in Portland.
I think the Winterhawks and an NHL team could
Oh no,
coexist.
I have Portland stories from going up there. I have another time though. I have stories of that place.
Yeah.
See, if I'm Vancouver, I know that I'm probably not real thrilled about a team moving to Seattle or starting there.
You know what though? I don't think it's that big of a deal. Look, Vancouver is going to be fine. You put a team in Seattle. I mean, that's the same thing they said when they put a team in Buffalo and they put a team in, New Jersey. They do fine. Buffalo is one of the best television markets in the country.
I'm not talking to television, Mark. I just think,
but I mean,
when I listen
still.
to Vancouver radio, they cover the Mariners and the Seahawks ad nauseum. So
my point is though is that Buffalo also does well because you have a lot of migratory fans that go down there because the tickets are cheaper. So
Right.
you could see Canuck fans making a day going down to Seattle to watch a game. I think it would be, I think that would only help them. Not that I think that Seattle needs Canadians to come down and fill their barn. I just think it would be an added bonus.
I like Mike Lee. Mike Lee saying, "Put it in Landy's backyard." I like it. Or Salt Lake City.
Oh, the one thing about San Diego is that they've always been fair weather fans to anything but football. I mean, football really rules this town.
Even football.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's not great because we have such a large transplant community. So you've got people from LA here, you've got people from the Bay Area here, you've got people from the Midwest or the East. They all kind of are here, and there's not too many San Diego fans of the team that are from San Diego. It's okay, but I don't think it would be a great market for that kind of play.
You look at every time that the San Francisco Giants go down and play the Padres, they almost call it like San Francisco South.
They call it AT&T South, and I'm one of the Giants guys, repping my orange down there. So, that just goes to show you. I mean, that's what it is. So I don't think San Diego's a great market for that, unfortunately. But yeah, I think you either go Northwest in Vegas, or you just put Vegas for right now, and you relocate somebody to Quebec City. But let's.
Hey, I heard Ian was on local TV, like from 3,000 miles away today.
Yeah, so let's quickly go over that. If anybody has not seen yet, the Pucknology crew was on TV today. KPIX San Francisco did an interview with Puck Guy and had all of us on there. So they took some footage from the shows, put it on TV, and got us a little bit of airtime, and hopefully we get the subscriptions up. But quickly, you guys want to run down on your experience?
It was kind of surreal because I'm used to writing about someone else and not someone talking about me. So it was neat.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, that's cool that getting noticed. Like the word's getting out and around. Like it's not like small little thing anymore. It's growing a lot. So it's really cool.
No, I thought that was very cool, and I like the fact that the guy who wrote the article really I guess made a point, because obviously there was the video component of it that they filmed, but there was a nice little article about it, and I really like the fact that he took quotes from Landy and Ian because they were the transplants that are so far away from what's happening here, that just the fact that this silly little podcast that we do, dear Lord, at some point it's like, when are we going to add somebody from England or Australia that's a diehard transplant fan? You know what I mean?
Hey, well, we do have a Norwegian fan and we have a German fan of the show, and you know what? I mean, the more the merrier. It's always fun coming on here, and you know what? The exposure is great. I think we've got Puck Guy. He's starting to come in. Puck Guy, you want to talk quickly about the interview and just what it's like to have the exposure for the podcast?
It was a huge thing. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it personally. My mom had texted it to me when she saw it. I'm not going to say that it spark plugged the Sharks, but it was on the air before the Sharks scored their first goal. So, just saying, Pucknology love, definitely spark plugged the Sharks tonight.
That was fantastic. I just need to say goodbye. I love talking to you guys. I got to jump off, so I'm still pissed off about the officials. I will see you Wednesday.
All right. That's
Eric, let's get your quick hits on the game. What you thought, what you liked. I mean, I know that you were listening on the radio, but what was just your overall feel of the game tonight?
I quickly went to a Mexican food place on my lunchtime to see the first part of the game. They definitely looked a little nervous. I think it was a lot of nerves going into a place where they've never, won a big thing. Definitely could tell by the radio calls that there were some things that were let go, which is fine if you're going to do it for both teams and not be biased. One thing I guess I told you about on the preview show is you got to make sure that it's going to go a lot towards Pittsburgh's way. You got to be careful with your penalties and your non-penalties the other way around. Um, you just have to be careful. I mean, the bias with Pittsburgh will show a little bit, but you got to beat it. And the Sharks have shown that they've beaten it that way. And it's not the end of the world either. I mean, we were down 0-1 to the Blues, and we came back hard. I thought the second period they came back strong. I thought the third period they kind of laxed a little bit, and then unfortunately, a drop stick leads to a goal, and here we go, regretting that Bonino and Timo Hellmeyer trade for Travis Moan and
Sorry.
bless you, Travis Moan and Kent Huskins trade.
Yeah, that's funny because we had somebody chiming in that Travis Moe and Kent Huskins must be laughing somewhere. I totally thought about that too, and we can't play that game though because it wouldn't have opened up
It was 7
opportunities
years
for
ago,
them.
too.
Butterfly
Yeah,
effect there.
exactly.
That is a massive butterfly effect.
But
Exactly.
as a BART train goes by, sorry.
Yeah, for those of you who
It's
aren't
amazing how
aware,
you can do this on your cell phone. Back to you, Landy.
they're asking the chat why Puck Guy's out in a parking lot. Rocket believes he's scoring drugs or something mischievous. Because we know that's how Puck Guy rolls.
All right, so here's the thing. I'm in downtown Concord. This is where I work. I literally just got off of work. This isn't quite the best neighborhood in the world, so Rocket might be right. Something might be going down here in the wee hours. But unfortunately, I have a new boss who doesn't really give a damn about time off. I asked for all the game days off for the Cup final. For this week, I'm only getting game 2. Not fun, but it is what it is. If anybody's hiring, I am a great designer, great customer service rep, and a hard worker. I personally, because the mojo has been there, I've been at home. I'm either in my Next Wave jersey or my Heritage jersey, because I didn't want to get those messed up. I'm actually rocking the original teal. So with that, I take full responsibility of the loss tonight. The mojo from yours truly wasn't there, and it's on me, and we're going to rectify that on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Thank you for checking in with us, Puck Guy. Get
No
home
problem.
safe and go score some Benadryl tablets, as Rocket's saying in the chat.
The good stuff, not the crappy Benadryl, like the market strength stuff.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Behind the counter strength, I think.
But to briefly talk about the interview, sorry. You know what? We started this almost a year and a half ago, and there's the 4 of us here, along with AJ and Gentry. You guys have been a blast to do this with, and I'm glad we're getting some exposure and making sure that Sharks get some exposure as well. So hopefully I'll have that on my personal YouTube site later this evening. I'm still in awe, but of course, please subscribe down below. We appreciate all the love that we can get.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you again, Eric, and we will check in with you. Well, actually, you'll probably be hosting game 2.
Yes. If you want to
quick-
drive up, Landy, come on up.
Oh yeah, I'll be there in about 8 hours. Um, I think the great thing, well, not the great thing, but the saving grace that we can take out of this is that the Sharks have been a really good road team. They've proven that they can win on the road, and they've just proven in the last series that it doesn't necessarily mean the end of the world if you're down 1-0. It's how you respond. It's how this team will respond against the adversity. They've shown this far that they've bounced back with really good games in their second game. They're not great on the first day of travel. It seemed like the first game in Nashville wasn't so hot. It seemed like the first game in St. Louis wasn't so hot. Um, as we are starting to wrap up, we do have J. Alexander 46 Gentry joining us. So Gentry, let's get your quick thoughts, and then we're gonna head out.
All right, I just wanted to say that, I've been seeing some stuff on Twitter saying that this is where the Sharks collapse and implode, and Jones on that last goal should have had it. That was a weak, and I was like, no. I mean, did you not watch the rest of the game? Jones was playing out of his mind. Guys, it's game one. If we all remember the last time we lost a game one in a series, it was against the Blues, and look how we responded in games 2 and 3. It's far from over, guys. Don't worry about it. We've got this. Just chill. Go watch the Warriors.
Relax.
Go
If
to
I'm the
it.
voice of reason, then you guys have nothing to worry about. So I just wanted to say my piece.
Yeah, and Rocket Backhander chiming in. She's saying, you guys remember Game 1 against Nashville was Jones seeing something like 80 shots. I mean, I don't think it was 80, but I think it was 80 attempts. It might have been something crazy like that. But yeah, you know what? This team has always rebounded well, and you know what? You take the split on the road, you go home, you steal that home ice advantage, and you see what you can do. Uh, Ian, quickly before we wrap up, any last words that you want to get in?
No, I got nothing. I got an angry child.
Okay,
That's what I got.
Ian's got the angry Canadian child. Chris, any last words before we take this thing home?
I mean, a lot of them have already been said. Just like it's a 7-game series. The Sharks, I think it's very important that they do win game 2. Not impossible if they don't, but it's very important, and I think they'll respond. This team has bounced back really well after losses, so I have a good feeling on Wednesday the Sharks will be just fine. This game wasn't that bad. There was some bad to it, there was some good to it, and I think they can play with them. And I still think that I still like their chance to take the series. So we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Agreed. Slushy one. Sorry, Slush. We're not going to take any calls tonight. I think we're just going to do the hour show, and we'll call it a night. Everybody on and wants to celebrate the Warriors. You know what? And forget about that Sharks loss. So we'll just end it up here. Thank you, everybody, for checking in with us, watching, following us. Please subscribe down below. It helps us out. Let us know, comments, feedback on Twitter or in the Google chat or in the comments section in the videos. We always love the feedback and love to hear from everybody. And for the entire Pucknology staff, please check out pucknology.net. We've got some great writing up there. Aiden Carlson just posted his post-game reactions tonight. We've got, we've got a great set of writers going right now, and it's going to be an awesome ride to the finish, win or lose. But you know what? Go Sharks, and I'm still liking that 6-game or 5-game prediction. So go Sharks, and we'll see you on Wednesday.